The Citizenship Ceremony is now in session. My name is Laura, and I'm the clerk of today's ceremony. Thank you, Haley Mackenzie, for that beautiful performance. La cérémonie de citoyenneté est maintenant commencée. Mon nom est Laura, et je suis la greffière de la cérémonie aujourd'hui. Un gros merci, Haley Mackenzie, pour cette magnifique performance. Welcome, everyone, to this historic video oath ceremony. It marks the very first time that the oath will be pronounced using new wording that refers to Aboriginal and treaty rights of Indigenous peoples in Canada. This is as a result of the passage of Bill C-8, an act to amend the Citizenship Act, Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada's Call to Action number 94. The changes are an important and necessary step towards reconciliation and a renewed relationship with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. The new wording will now be used at all citizenship ceremonies. Bienvenue à tous à cette cérémonie historique de prestation du serment par vidéo. Celle-ci marque la toute première fois le serment sera prononcé utilisant un nouveau libellé qui fait référence aux droits ancestraux ou issus du traité des peuples autochtones du Canada. Ceci fait suite à l'adoption du projet de loi C-8, la loi modifiant la loi sur la citoyenneté, appelle à l'action numéro 94 de la Commission de vérité et réconciliation du Canada. Les changements représentent une étape importante et nécessaire vers la réconciliation et une relation renouvelée avec les Premières Nations, les Inuits et les Métis. Le nouveau libellé serait désormais utilisé à toutes les cérémonies de citoyenneté. The ceremony will be held predominantly in English based on the language preference of today's candidates for citizenship. La cérémonie se déroulera principalement en anglais d'après la langue de préférence des candidats à la citoyenneté ici aujourd'hui. Judge Carrière, in accordance with the provisions of the Citizenship Act, it is my privilege to present to you 31 candidates for citizenship from 8 countries who have met all of the requirements of the Citizenship Act and are now ready to take the oath of citizenship, the final legal requirement to become a Canadian citizen. Juge Carrière, conformément aux dispositions de la loi sur la citoyenneté, j'ai le privilège de vous présenter 31 demandeurs de citoyenneté provenant de 8 pays qui ont répondu à toutes les exigences de la loi sur la citoyenneté et qui sont maintenant prêts à prononcer le serment de citoyenneté, la dernière exigence juridique pour devenir citoyen canadien. I now invite you to give your remarks. Je vous invite maintenant à donner votre allocation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ani, Bojo, Skeno, and Dio. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your historic Canadian Citizenship Ceremony. Bonjour à vous tous et bienvenue à votre cérémonie de citoyenneté historique. I am located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and so I want to begin this ceremony by acknowledging that I'm presiding it from Treaty 1 land. I'm on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene nations, and I'm on the homeland of the Métis Nation. And I offer this land acknowledgement as a way of honoring and showing respect for the Indigenous peoples of this land, and as a way of expressing gratitude to the First Nation, Inuit, and Métis lands that we are on, which are at the heart of the culture, ceremony, and traditions of Indigenous peoples. Je suis située à Winnipeg, au Manitoba, donc je tiens à souligner que je préside cette cérémonie sur le territoire visé par le traité numéro 1, sur les terres ancestrales des nations Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, et Dene, et dans le berceau de la nation métisse. And to open our ceremony today, I'm honored to introduce Elder Kat Krieger from the Cayuga Nation Turtle Clan. Elder Krieger has been a traditional teacher and knowledge keeper for almost 30 years, as well as a healer, spiritual dreamer, and pipe carrier. Over the years, he has learned traditional ceremonies, teachings, and healing with plant medicines, and he now uses these gifts to help all people to walk in a good way through life. Aîné Kat Krieger est de la nation Cayuga, clan de la Tortue, et il est un enseignant traditionnel ainsi qu'un gardien du savoir depuis près de 30 ans. Elder Krieger, I offer you this pouch of tobacco and respectfully ask that you share some of your gifts and wisdom with us today to bring us all together of one mind.
Miigwech, and I accept that offering of tobacco and magically have it here now. First thing I'm going to do is light a smudge. For those of you that haven't experienced a smudge ceremony before, I have this beautiful abalone shell. In that shell, there's some sacred sage, some white buffalo sage actually from out west. There's some beautiful smoke and a beautiful scent that comes up from that. There's a metaphoric washing of the hands, taking some over the eyes, the ears, breathing some in over the heart, over our mind, in that when we come together of one mind today, that speaks to the idea that everything we touch today, we're going to touch with our hearts. We're going to speak from our hearts. We're going to look at things with our hearts. We're going to be present with our hearts. And very importantly, that we listen to one another with our hearts. So I wanted to share that with you. It's a beautiful smell. I wish you could all smell it. And certainly many of our cultures have some type of fire or candle or incense in the hub of our belief systems. Skeno, Sego, Tanse, Wenebojo, Makwagish Gadendishnikas, Jikandodam, Kayuga, Indinchabo, Huga, Nishnabe, Miwa, German English, and Ambe Majada, Jibwabi, Daban, Ganage, Gomi, Nage, Nage, Goba. Miigwech, Skobani Kwe, Miwa, Manado Gisis, Manado Nokmas, Miwa, Kitchkumimade, Wabo, Miwi Shaganash, Shishabangi. So in translation out of that Ojibwe language, my spirit name is Makwagishgat, which means sky bear. I'm Cayugan, but I also hold German and English ancestry in the lands that I come from. So I like to honor all my ancestors when I think about and speak about these things. This place and space that we're walking in, those words go a little further to acknowledge, as I said, my own ancestry, the Cayugan side of the indigenous side, the Haudenosaunee people of the Six Nations. The rest of the words talk about being up early, watching the sun come up, and recognizing that sun is giving us a message that we should walk through life each day, spreading warmth, spreading light, and spreading life as we go through this path in life. It talks about the moon for its eternal ability to watch over this earth. That silver light that it shares with the sun reminds us of the silver hair of our ancestors and the wisdom that they carry and pass on to us. And the moon is always watching over us. There's some words about the big waters where I am to the south. I'm in Brampton. This is the signatory, the treaty area of the Mississaugas of the Credit, but as well the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, the Haudenosaunee people have also walked this land since the last ice walls moved back about 13,000 years ago. So we honor all those things. That big water that where I am today has traveled up and touched us and remind us that it is essential for life, that we carry all these things in our heart, and that we walk in a good way together. We walk with respect for one another, for how we walk, how we talk, how we speak, our language, how we think, how we dress, how we pray, how we carry on relationships, that we respect one another on an equal basis for all these things, that all heads are the same height, meaning we're all deserving of that equal respect. And for those who walked before us on these lands, passed on their wisdom to us and their knowledge, we are grateful. I am myself, because I'm a world traveler, I'm always happy to meet another culture. I'm always happy to share things. I'm always happy to engage in conversation in that way. And I think this place and space that we call Turtle Island as Indigenous people is a place where people have come from 4 directions from all over the world to meet and to be here, to live and to prosper, to share this place and space that we're in. And I'm also grateful for that. So I would love to talk for hours. But I just want to extend that welcome, that bit of that language, and say, let's walk together in a good way. Miigwech for listening to my words.
Nyawe, Elder Krieger, thank you. We could listen to you for hours too, I am sure, but thank you for those warm words of welcome and for inspiring us with your beautiful words. And Tiawank to drummer Haley McKenzie as well for that wonderful opening song. Thank you both for getting us started here in a good way today. Now, many across the country were devastated by the recent announcement from Tk'emlúps te Secwépemc First Nation that the remains of 215 children were found on the grounds of the former Kamloops Indian Residential School. This grim discovery and others like it are a stark reminder that residential schools are not just something that happened in this country's distant past, but rather they've left a lasting legacy that continues to cause very real trauma to Indigenous peoples to this day. La récente découverte de 215 restes près de l'ancien pensionnat indien de Kamloops est un rappel brutal que ces pensionnats continuent à causer de vrais traumatismes pour les peuples autochtones jusqu'à ce jour. And in honor of those 215 children and all other children who did not make it home, and in honor of all those who've been affected by and continue to be affected by their dark legacy, we now ask that everyone observe a minute of silence. For some, this might mean contemplation or reflection. For others, it might mean prayer. Please feel free to observe it in whichever way feels most meaningful to you. Je voudrais vous demander maintenant d'observer une minute de silence en mémoire de ces 215 enfants et tous ceux et celles qui ont été touchés par ces pensionnats indiens. Miigwech. I was just thinking of the words of the Honorable Maurice Sinclair, who said that reconciliation turns on a very simple concept, which is, I want to be your friend, and I want you to be my friend. L'Honorable Maurice Sinclair a dit que la réconciliation repose sur une idée très simple, qui est, je veux être votre ami et je veux que vous soyez mon ami. And in order to be a friend to the Indigenous community, each and every one of us needs to reflect on our own actions and see where we can be better allies to Indigenous peoples. Each and every one of us has a role to play in healing this country, because reconciliation with Indigenous peoples is a responsibility shared by all Canadians, even new Canadians, such as you're about to become. We have a few other special guests here today, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce them and thank them for coming out to share this special moment with you, our new Canadians. We have the privilege of being joined today by the Honorable Marco Mendicino, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. Nous avons l'Honorable Marco Mendicino, Ministre de l'Immigration, des Réfugiés et de la Citoyenneté. We have the Honorable Margaret Dawn Anderson, Senator for the Northwest Territories. She is a proud Inuk committed to raising the profile of Arctic, Inuit, and Indigenous issues across Canada. L'Honorable Margaret Dawn Anderson, sénatrice pour les territoires du Nord-Ouest, s'emploie activement à faire mieux connaître les enjeux qui touchent l'Arctique, les Inuits et les Autochtones dans l'ensemble du Canada. We have Hayley McKenzie, who drummed for us at the beginning of the ceremony and will be drumming again at the end of the ceremony. Ms. McKenzie is of Wendat and Inuit descent and is co-chair of IRCC's Indigenous Peoples Circle. Hayley a débuté le tambour pour reconnecter avec ses ancêtres autochtones et est passionnée par le partage de la culture autochtone. We have Catherine Pignataro, who will be performing our national anthem later in the ceremony. Ms. Pignataro has a bachelor's degree in popular singing and works in the music industry as a singer, chorister, and producer. Catherine Pignataro œuvre dans le domaine musical en tant que chanteuse, choriste et productrice. We have Amy Matchin from the Institute for Canadian Citizenship. We are so grateful to Amy and the ICC team who were instrumental in organizing this special ceremony to commemorate the new and improved Oath of Citizenship. Un gros merci à Amy Machen et l'Institut pour la citoyenneté canadienne pour avoir organisé cette cérémonie très spéciale pour commémorer le nouveau serment de citoyenneté. So in the world of citizenship, we often talk about where people come from. And the 31 of you here today are representing 8 different countries. As for me, my ancestors came to Canada from France almost 400 years ago. And on both sides of my family, some of my French ancestors married Indigenous women. And so I have both Cree and Ojibwe ancestry, which means that I have relatively deep roots here in Canada. I'm French Canadian, I'm Métis, and because of my background, my own journey to become Canadian was incredibly simple. So simple, in fact, it can be summed up in just 4 words. I was born here. Je suis né ici. That's it. But just because it was easy for me does not mean that I take it for granted. In fact, every day of my life, I feel incredibly grateful to be Canadian. Now, the reason I share my story with you is just so we can compare and contrast the different ways that people can become Canadian. Because of course, for the 31 of you here today, your journeys to become Canadian were much different and more complicated than my journey was. For starters, you were born in another country, and then at some point in time, you made the difficult decision that you would leave your home country and family and friends behind and start a new life here in Canada. And there are many reasons why people make this choice. Some come here for better opportunities, education, work, maybe even love. Others come here because of war or other instabilities in their home countries. But whatever your reason was, once you arrived here in Canada, you had to adjust and adapt to life in this new country, where the culture, the weather, the language might all be very different than in your home countries. So today I really want to recognize the courage, the determination, and the hard work it took for each of you to be here. And I know that there were difficult times along the way, but you persevered, you embraced this new country, and now here you are about to become Canadian citizens. Aujourd'hui, je veux reconnaître votre courage et votre persévérance qui vous a amené à ce point. Et je suis certaine qu'il y a eu des moments difficiles au cours des années, mais vous avez persévéré et à présent, vous allez franchir une étape palpitante. Becoming Canadian is something very special because with this honor comes incredible rights or privileges, like the right to live free of discrimination and persecution, the right to express your opinion without fear, the right to practice your religious faith, the right to vote, and the right to live and work in any province or territory. But of course, there is still a flip side to all that, because Canadian citizenship also comes with responsibilities, like obeying our laws here in Canada, taking responsibility for yourselves and for your families, voting in our elections, doing your part to protect Canada's environment and its heritage, and then just by helping others around you and being good community members. Now, all of you have been in Canada for some time already, and I'm sure there's already many different ways that you have been active citizens here in Canada, and I certainly encourage you to keep that up long after today's ceremony is over. Devenir Canadienne ou Canadien est quelque chose de très spécial, car cela vous permet de jouir d'incroyables droits et privilèges, tels que le droit de vivre à l'abri de la discrimination et de la persécution, le droit d'exprimer son opinion sans crainte, le droit de pratiquer sa religion, le droit de voter et le droit de vivre et de travailler dans la province ou le territoire de son choix. Mais comme vous savez, ces droits s'accompagnent également de devoirs, tels qu'observer nos lois ici au Canada, subvenir à ses besoins et à ceux de sa famille, voter aux élections, faire sa part pour protéger l'environnement et l'héritage canadien, et aider les autres. J'espère donc sincèrement que vous ferez profiter le Canada de vos talents, de vos forces, ainsi que de votre culture pour bâtir un pays encore mieux et encore plus fort. Now, in just a few minutes, we will proceed to the swearing of the oaths of citizenship, the last step in the process that will make of you Canadian citizens. But before we get to that, I am delighted to turn things over to Minister Mendicino for some welcoming remarks. Monsieur le ministre, je vous passe maintenant la parole.
Merci and good morning, everyone. And as we begin, I would like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit and Haudenosaunee. And this acknowledgement is particularly meaningful today for several reasons. First, we're meeting the day after the 25th anniversary of National Indigenous Peoples Day, which we celebrated just yesterday on June 21st. Second, we're meeting the day after Bill C-8, which just received royal assent, which is the legislation that created the new citizenship oath that better reflects Indigenous peoples, as was called for by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action, in which you're all about to take. And third, despite these important milestones, we've gathered at a particularly challenging moment in our relationship with Indigenous peoples in the wake of the ongoing agony and pain caused by the residential schools tragedy. At times like this, we all need to draw strength and to listen to one another, especially those within the Indigenous community who possess the wisdom to help us all understand how we can walk the path of reconciliation together. And so I want to acknowledge and give a very special welcome to Elder Kat and to Judge Carrière, Canada's first Métis citizenship judge, and Senator Anderson, all of whom honor us with your presence, as well as Haley, who did the wonderful drumming at the beginning. Thank you for that. And as well, Kathleen, who's going to sing our anthem, and Amy from the Institute of Canadian Citizenship. I want to thank you all on a very personal note for being part of this ceremony and for allowing us to commence these proceedings in the right way. And I want to say to Elder Kat that, like Judge Carrière said, I could listen to you all day. I thought that your reflections about proceeding with the citizenship ceremony today with an open heart and with a desire to spread warmth, light, and life was very poignant. And to you, Judge Carrière, thank you for sharing your journey to becoming Canadian in perhaps one of the most concise but meaningful ways I've ever heard, but equally for your strength and for your voice today and your beautiful words that invite us all to share our backgrounds and our journey to becoming Canadian in the spirit of healing, balance, and respect. Welcome to everyone who is joining this ceremony, particularly those who are about to become new Canadians, and to your families and to your loved ones who are joining virtually, whether it's here in Canada or from abroad. La cérémonie aujourd'hui est très spéciale car dans quelques minutes à peine, vous serez les premières Canadiennes à prêter notre nouveau serment de citoyenneté. Today, you will become new citizens and you will take our new oath of citizenship. You've worked very hard to get to this point. You've traveled great distances. You have brought yourselves and in many cases your loved ones with you to start a new life here in Canada. Throughout your journey, you have learned about your communities and your new and adopted home. And even while you are no doubt very much focused on the present and thinking about the future, there is also a great need for you to understand, for all of us to understand our history as a country. Canada is a unique and special country made up of many different cultures, ethnicities, and communities. But before you arrived here, my family arrived here, most of us arrived here, the origins of our country were tainted by centuries of colonialism. That is to say, that successive governments for many years set out to systematically delegitimize and erase Indigenous traditions, cultures, and histories, even Indigenous peoples themselves, who've called this land home since time immemorial. Tous les Canadiens et les Canadiennes doivent s'engager à faire la lumière les atrocités qui ont lieu dans les pensionnats et faire tout en notre pouvoir pour réparer leurs séquelles. This was underscored earlier this month with the horrific discovery of an unmarked grave of 215 children at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School. The unearthing was a reminder not only of this very dark chapter of our history, but of the intergenerational trauma that remains today. And that's why the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's final report, which was established to address the legacy of the residential schools, called on all of us to amend the oath to include Indigenous and treaty rights, and to do so much more. Au cours des dernières années, le gouvernement du Canada et plus important encore, le peuple canadien, a emprunté la voie de la réconciliation. It's about establishing a new relationship between Indigenous peoples and non-Indigenous Canadians, one that is based on a recognition of rights, acknowledgement of wrongs, and a shared commitment to move forward and to change. Tous les Canadiens, incluant les nouveaux arrivants, doivent marcher ensemble sur le chemin de la réconciliation. And Judge Carrier, you mentioned the Honorable Murray Sinclair, and I'm going to draw on his words as well, who also said that the road that we travel is equal in importance to the destination we seek. There are no shortcuts. When it comes to the truth and reconciliation, we are forced to go the distance. And just to fuse what you said with the quote that I drew from, friendship at times is difficult, and we must go this distance together. And so today, with the new oath of citizenship, you, our newest citizens, will be taking your own steps on the road to reconciliation. But the oath is much more than just words or text on a piece of paper. It is a public declaration of joining our country and everyone who calls it home, including Indigenous peoples. And in just a few minutes, you are going to take this oath, and you will also personally commit to respecting our relationship with Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis rights, and upholding the treaties. Le Canada a toujours été un pays d'immigration. Bien que nous soyons loin d'être parfaits, nous, les Canadiens, sommes profondément attachés à l'équité, à l'inclusion et au respect de nos différences. I invite you to join that work now by walking the path of reconciliation to help us do so in an inclusive and an equitable way. You all have the power to affect change in your communities and in your country. Now, in keeping with the time-honored Canadian tradition, you will welcome the next generation of aspiring Canadians. En tant que fille de parents immigrés, cela me touche beaucoup. This is what Canada is about. Your story is our story. Your success is our success. You arrived here as immigrants, and you will now become Canadians. Welcome home. Félicitations. Merci. Megwich. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Ministre. Thank you so much, Minister Mendicino. That Honorable Murray Sinclair, he's a wise man. I'm not surprised that we both pulled from the same person in terms of using quotes and wise words in the context that we're in today, and in celebrating the new revised oath that our new Canadians are about to swear. So yes, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action number 94 urged the federal government to update the oath of citizenship to recognize the rights of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples, allowing new Canadians to fully appreciate the role of Indigenous peoples in Canada's past, present, and future, and their own role in both respecting the rights of and advancing meaningful reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. And last night, on June 21st, National Indigenous Peoples Day, Bill C-8 received royal assent, and now here we are at long last. L'appel à l'action numéro 94 de la Commission de vérité et réconciliation exhortait le gouvernement fédéral à mettre à jour le serment de citoyenneté afin de reconnaître les droits des Premières Nations, des Inuits et des Métis, permettant aux nouveaux Canadiens de reconnaître que nous partageons la responsabilité de respecter et d'affirmer les droits des peuples autochtones. Il permet aussi aux nouveaux Canadiens d'apprécier pleinement le rôle des peuples autochtones dans le passé, le présent et le futur du Canada. Hier soir, le 21 juin, la Journée nationale des peuples autochtones, le projet de loi C-8 a reçu la sanction royale, et nous voici enfin. Practically speaking, this means that the wording of the oath you will be swearing today is different than what you received in your invitation and what you may have practiced at home. But please don't worry, all you need to do is repeat after me and we will be just fine. Le libellé du serment que nous prêterons aujourd'hui sera différent de celui inclus dans votre invitation à cette cérémonie. Mais vous n'avez qu'à le répéter après moi et tout ira bien. Madam Clerk, I'm now ready to proceed with the revised oaths of citizenship.
Thank you, Judge Keriel. Merci. We will now proceed with the oath of citizenship. Nous allons maintenant procéder au serment de citoyenneté. All candidates who are 14 years of age and older are required to take the oath. If there is any doubt that you have taken the oath, you will not obtain your citizenship certificate. Tous les candidats de 14 ans et plus sont tenus de répéter le serment. S'il y a un doute quant au fait que vous avez répété le serment, vous ne recevrez pas votre certificat de citoyenneté. Children under 14 years of age do not have to repeat the oath, but can if they wish. Les enfants qui ont moins de 14 ans ne sont pas tenus de répéter le serment, mais peuvent le faire s'ils désirent. It is necessary that you repeat the oath in English or in French or both after the citizenship judge. We encourage you to repeat it in both languages as a symbolic gesture of your commitment to respecting Canada's two official languages. Il est nécessaire que vous répétiez le serment en français ou en anglais ou dans les deux langues après le juge de citoyenneté. Nous vous encourageons à le faire dans les deux langues. Ce geste symbolisera votre engagement à respecter les deux langues officielles du Canada. The citizenship judge will start by saying, I swear, but you have the choice of saying either I swear or I affirm. La juge commencera par dire je jure, mais vous avez le choix de dire je jure ou j'affirme solennellement. We ask that you position yourself directly in front of the camera so we may see you properly during the oath taking. If you are wearing a mask, a hat, or a cap, you must remove them now unless it is for religious beliefs, health issues, or part of an official uniform. On vous demande de vous positionner directement devant la caméra pour que nous puissions vous voir correctement durant la prestation du serment. Si vous portez un masque, une casquette ou un chapeau, vous devez l'enlever maintenant, à moins que ce soit pour des motifs religieux, des problèmes de santé, ou faisant partie d'un uniforme officiel. Please pay close attention to the following instructions about the oath taking. In just a moment, not quite yet, we will ask you to activate your microphone. However, you must remain silent and wait for the judge who will lead the oath of citizenship. As a group, you will repeat the words of the oath one sentence at a time, each time after the judge. Please wait for the judge to repeat the next sentence. Veuillez porter une attention particulière aux consignes suivantes pour la prestation du serment. Dans un moment, pas tout de suite, nous vous demanderons d'activer votre micro. Cependant, vous devez garder le silence et attendre le juge, qui dirigera le serment de citoyenneté. En groupe, vous répéterez les paroles du serment une phrase à la fois, toujours après la juge. Veuillez attendre que le juge répète la phrase suivante. As we must be able to hear you taking the oath, please activate your microphone now. Comme nous devons pouvoir vous entendre prêter serment, veuillez maintenant activer votre microphone. If you choose to swear the oath on a holy book, please place it in your left hand. Si vous choisissiez de prêter serment sur un livre saint, veuillez le placer dans votre main gauche. Please raise your right hand now, and please keep your right hand raised throughout the entire oath-taking process. Veuillez maintenant lever votre main droite. Veuillez garder la main droite levée tout au long du processus de prestation du serment. We also invite anyone watching this ceremony to also raise your right hand and repeat the oath if you wish. It is a demonstration of your commitment to Canada, but it will not make you Canadian if you are not one already. Nous invitons tous ceux qui visionnent cette cérémonie à lever la main droite et répéter le serment si vous le désirez. Ce geste démontrera votre engagement au Canada, mais ne fera pas de vous des Canadiennes si vous n'en êtes pas un déjà. Judge Carrière, the candidates for citizenship are ready to repeat the oath of citizenship. Juge Carrière, les candidats à la citoyenneté sont prêts à répéter le serment de citoyenneté.
Excellent. So let's do this. I swear
I swear
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty,
to Her Majesty,
Queen Elizabeth II,
Queen Elizabeth II,
Queen of Canada,
Queen of Canada,
her heirs and successors,
her heirs and successors,
and that I will faithfully observe
and that I will faithfully observe
the laws of Canada,
the laws of
Canada,
including the Constitution,
including the
Constitution,
which recognizes and affirms
which recognizes and affirms
the Aboriginal and treaty rights
the Aboriginal and treaty rights
of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples,
of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples,
and fulfill my duties
and fulfill my duties
as a Canadian citizen.
as a Canadian
citizen.
Very, very well done, everyone. You can put your arms down. Your arms have been up for a while, so I think they deserve a quick break here before we do this again en français. So that's it. We don't have time for a long break, but if you can put your right hands back up, we'll do this one more time in French. And here we go. Je jure que je serai fidèle et porterai sincère allégeance à Sa Majesté, la Reine Élisabeth II, Reine du Canada, à ses héritiers et successeurs, que j'observerai fidèlement les lois du Canada, y compris la Constitution qui reconnaît et confirme les droits ancestraux ou issus de traités des Premières Nations, des Inuits et des Métis, et que je remplirai loyalement mes obligations de citoyen canadien. There we go. You've done it. Congratulations, everyone. You are now citizens. Congratulations to all of you. Very well done with the new oath. Very well done with the French portion as well. I know that can be a bit intimidating and a bit challenging, but you've all done a fantastic job. And more importantly, you are now all Canadian citizens. So congratulations to you all. Welcome home and welcome to our Canadian family. Félicitations à vous tous. Bienvenue chez vous et bienvenue dans la grande famille canadienne. It is my pleasure now to invite Senator Margaret Dawn Anderson to share a few congratulatory remarks with you all.
Archana, good morning. Before I begin my remarks, I want to acknowledge that I'm joining you from the unceded territory of the Anishinaabeg Algonquins peoples. As an Inuvik woman, born and raised in Tuktoyaktuk Northwest Territories on the shores of the Arctic Ocean, and as sponsor of Bill C-8, I am honored to be with you today to celebrate your citizenship and to share in this historic moment. You are the first Canadians to swear or affirm Canada's new citizenship oath. In acknowledging the Aboriginal and treaty rights of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples that are enshrined in Canada's Constitution, you have affirmed an important truth about Canada's history. Our nations begin not with confederation, but with the presence of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. At this moment in Canadian history, we are learning what it means to be reconciled with our entire past, our collective history of diversity and opportunities for some, running in parallel with systemic oppression and attempted erasure of others. Whether someone is born a Canadian or whether they choose to become Canadian, it comes with an individual and a collective responsibility. The responsibility to educate oneself, learn, share, respect, and understand the important history of Indigenous peoples in Canada. We are responsible for forging a new relationship and for weaving together the fabric of an inclusive Canada, one that is based on reconciliation, equality, and equity, and that recognizes the inherent rights of Indigenous peoples. In the words of Chief Wilton Littlechild, this new oath or affirmation will develop new relations in a positive way and build a better, stronger, and more inclusive Canada. I wish to congratulate you on becoming Canadian citizens, and I wish you all the best. Our heritage will be strengthened and enriched by what you bring, learn, and what you share. Kuinaini, Kwana, Masi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Anderson, and what a fabulous message of just the responsibility and just what a gift it is to this country to have new Canadians learn about the history of this country and to share that respect for the original inhabitants of this land. You know, throughout our history, millions of immigrants have helped build this country, our country. Canada welcomes people from more than 150 different countries each year. And it is thanks to Canada's amazing diversity, so not in spite of it, but because of it, that Canada has become a role model for the world. And now, as Canadian citizens, the 31 of you are ambassadors. You're ambassadors for one of the greatest, freest, richest, and most beautiful nations that's ever existed in the history of this planet. You are Canadian. Tout au long de notre histoire, des millions d'immigrants nous ont aidés à bâtir ce pays, notre pays. Et c'est grâce à l'incroyable diversité de sa population que le Canada est devenu un modèle dans le monde. En tant que citoyens canadiens, vous êtes désormais des ambassadeurs du Canada, une des plus grandes, des plus libres, des plus riches et des plus belles nations de l'histoire de l'humanité. Vous êtes Canadiennes et Canadiens. So in just a moment, we will sing our national anthem together with our anthem singer, Katrine Pignataro. But before we get to that, I would like to once again thank all of our special guests here today and the Institute for Canadian Citizenship for helping make this ceremony as special as it was. And to our new Canadians, this is very likely a day you will never forget. But the same actually applies to me as well, because I'll never forget that I had the honor and the privilege of participating in today's ceremony with you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being the very first group of new Canadians to swear this extremely important revised oath and for making history with us. Merci, miigwech. Ceci est fort probable un jour que vous n'oublierez jamais, et c'est également valable pour moi, parce que je n'oublierai jamais que j'ai eu l'honneur et le privilège de participer en votre compagnie à la cérémonie d'aujourd'hui. Je vous remercie du fond du cœur pour être le tout premier groupe de nouveaux Canadiens à prêter ce nouveau serment et d'avoir partagé ce moment historique avec nous. Thank you, miigwech. Encore une fois, félicitations et bienvenue dans la grande famille canadienne. Congratulations again and welcome to the Canadian family.
Thank you, Judge Keriel. Merci. And now a few words from my Prime Minister. Et maintenant, quelques mots de notre Premier Ministre.
Thank you for choosing Canada. We're so glad you're a part of our country, what it is today and what it will be tomorrow as we build it together. Congratulations, Canadians, and welcome home. Merci d'avoir choisi le Canada. Nous sommes très heureux que vous fassiez partie de notre pays, de ce qu'il est aujourd'hui et de ce qu'il sera demain, alors que nous le bâtissons ensemble. Félicitations à vous, Canadiens, et bienvenue chez vous.
To the new Canadians, today you will be singing O Canada for the very first time as a Canadian citizen. This is now your national anthem. Sing it with pride. Au nouveau Canadien, aujourd'hui, vous chanterez le O Canada pour la toute première fois en tant que citoyen canadien. Cet hymne national est maintenant le vôtre. Chantez-le avec fierté. I now invite Catherine Pignataro to lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land.
true patron love in all of us command. Car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Merci. On behalf of IRCC, congratulations to the new Canadians, and thank you to everyone who contributed to this very important ceremony. To our special guests, it was a delight and an honor to have you with us today, and a special thank you to the host of today's ceremony, the Institute for Canadian Citizenship. Au nom d'IRCC, félicitations aux nouveaux Canadiens et merci à tous ceux qui ont contribué à cette importante cérémonie. À nos invités spéciaux, ce fut un plaisir et un honneur de vous avoir parmi nous aujourd'hui. Et un remerciement spécial à l'hôte de la cérémonie aujourd'hui, l'Institut pour la citoyenneté canadienne. The ceremony is now closed. New Canadians must stay online for a few administrative steps, but before we do that, I invite Judge Carrière to introduce the drummer who will enchant us with a closing song. Cette cérémonie de citoyenneté est maintenant terminée. Les nouveaux citoyens doivent demeurer en ligne pour quelques étapes administratives. Au préalable, je demanderai à Juge Carrière d'introduire la joueuse du tambour qui nous enchantera avec une chanson de clôture.
Yes, so I mentioned earlier that Haley Mackenzie would be drumming for us again at the end of the ceremony. And Miss Mackenzie, these drum songs are so powerful and so moving, and we are so very grateful to you for sharing them with us. And I offer you this pouch of tobacco as a gesture of appreciation and gratitude for sharing these beautiful gifts and teachings with us. Tiawank, Chimigwich.
Tishame Judge Carrière. Kwe Oeti Heli Izati Ayonaye Terute. I'm so honored to be here today. Félicitations à tous. The song you heard me play a bit of at the beginning of the ceremony is called Wando Day. This is a song that honors our ancestors and the Creator. Drumming is a form of prayer, and I play this song to welcome everyone here today and to Canada as new citizens. You may have noticed that there weren't any words that you would recognize. Indigenous songs are often made of vocables, which are sounds and syllables. There are over 200 languages used by Indigenous people across Canada, so by using vocables in our songs, we're able to join together and sing, even if we don't speak the same language. The song I'll play to close is called Longest Walk. This is a song that was originally sung to honor those who took part in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, and it's a song of unity, of people coming together to face adversity and working together towards a common goal. While listening to this song, I invite you to close your eyes and imagine yourself at the beginning of your journey. As the song goes on and the music gets faster, you are getting stronger, and others join you, your loved ones, and all those who supported you along the way. By the end of the song, you're all standing together at the end of your journey, looking forwards together to the future. Oh, Yahweh, oh, hey, 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 Yahweh. Thank you, merci, and Tijame.
Perhaps the coordinator or maybe the clerk are organizing